You're listening to Soundside. I'm Gabriel Spitzer. This next story is about memory loss, but it's not a bummer. In fact, it's actually about comedy. This is the story of a theater program in Washington state where people with early-stage memory loss learn basic improv. And the results are kind of remarkable, not only for the students, but also for their caregivers and for the class instructors, too. Kyle Norris has the story from Bellingham.
If you've ever taken an improv class, you know they make you do some goofy stuff, like communicate with sounds and not words. And play improv games, which can lead to all kinds of unique situations, like this one, where someone is selling something that nobody seems to want.
I brought some fish. I have dried fish, I have fresh fish, I have some not so fresh fish. Could I maybe convince you to...
Bribe me? Yes.
I'm bribing. I'm openly bribing you with my...
10 people sit in a circle on a bare stage at the Upfront Theater in Bellingham. This particular improv class is special. In fact, there aren't many like it in the country. That's because this class was created for students who have early-stage memory loss. For them, improv is a rare chance to be creative and playful and not be defined by their memory issues. Many of these students are brand new to improv.
So I assume that folks might be a little bit nervous about what they're walking into, especially if they've never been to class before.
That's instructor Sammy Jolly. She starts off class by explaining Improv 101.
I tell people that we are going to be silly, we're going to have fun, we're going to connect, and most importantly, we're going to say yes to whatever idea people have, whatever they have to contribute.
Saying yes to whatever idea someone throws out there is the classic rule of improv. To warm them up, Sammy says she has everyone circle up and practice yes statements.
We go around and say, Kyle, say any statement you want to. It could be real or made up, and we're just going to shout yes after it. So what's a statement?
I'm addicted to Jolly Ranchers.
Yes, and everybody shouts yes, just to start the class with that feeling in the room to take all the anxiety away. Whatever you say today, we're going to enthusiastically accept it.
Ryan Elbacton de Gaulier is a class regular. She was the improv actor who earlier was trying to bribe another student with fish. Ryan says for her, class is all about being silly, and that gives her a sense of freedom because nothing she says or does here is wrong.
You know, blurting out a silly word or making a funny face at somebody sitting next to you who you've never been properly introduced to necessarily.
Ryan stumbled upon this class when she was looking for gentle activities she could do to stay active, because Ryan has a brain injury that causes neurological issues. The ongoing journey of her brain injury has been heavy. It's impacted her entire life, including her memory, speech, and movement. So the silliness of this improv class offers a lightness to all of that. She felt the lightness immediately after her first class, half a year ago.
Humor has been a huge part of finding my way out of the grief of what I've lost and the changes that have occurred in my identity.
Ryan says in this class there is zero judgment from anyone if her symptoms flare up, like if Ryan slurs her speech or completely forgets what she was saying mid-sentence in the middle of an improv game.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes people start to say something and then they're just blank. And you know what? Everybody just goes, yep. And we just, incorporate it or move on.
She says people here can show up exactly as they are, and it's fine. Another student, Rosh Doan, appreciates how class is all about the present moment. He's a retired pediatrician who has early Alzheimer's. Rosh says improv class is a time to let go of expectations.
And to enjoy ourselves as we are and accept who we are in the here and now.
Rosh takes the improv class along with his wife at the Greenwood Senior Center in Seattle. And that's where the idea of this improv class started. Pam Nolte is an actor and co-founder of Taproot Theater Company. She created this class 15 years ago. That's when Pam got a phone call from a friend who worked at the senior center.
And said Pam would Taproot Theater Company be interested in doing an improv class up at the senior center because one of our students would really like to do some improv.
Now, Pam did not have an improv background, but she started researching improv and memory loss and where those two things overlapped. She also pulled from personal experience. Pam's mother had been a preschool teacher for many years, and then later in life developed memory loss.
So my mother, who died in 2003 with Alzheimer's, was a preschool teacher. She could play like no one else I knew. She was Peter Pan, and all the kids in the neighborhood were leaping across the sofas in our living room, following her as the lost kids.
Inspired by her mom, Pam custom-tailored an improv class that focused on play and playfulness. And the class uses improv games that tap into long-term memories, and also memories based on sounds and smells, because people with early-stage memory loss often have an easier time accessing those kinds of memories. So Pam says instead of asking a student what they had for breakfast yesterday, she might say,
"Tell me about a favorite breakfast cereal when you were a kid." That's distant past memory. That's emotional memory. They remember those good feelings. They're deeply encoded. They're going to say, "Oh, Cocoa Pebbles," or, whatever that favorite is. And who did you like to sit with when you were eating your Cocoa Pebbles? "Oh, Dad. He was eating his Wheaties."
The class moves at a slower pace than a typical improv class, so everyone can follow along. And instructors might repeat instructions a few times. When students with memory loss cannot come up with an answer or forget what they're saying, no one jumps in. The instructors know that's something that happens a lot for these students in the real world. And in this class, people with memory loss are given space to take their time. As for what participants get from doing improv, experts say there are a lot of perks.
It keeps you socially engaged, and it teaches you how to keep moving forward and always thinking about going with the flow.
That's Dr. Danny Fisher with Harborview Medical Center. He works with patients suffering from memory loss and dementia. Danny says improvisation is an important skill for people dealing with those things. And going with the flow is something they can incorporate into their daily lives, especially when a lot of changes are coming at them fast. And it's refreshing for these folks to hear yes to their ideas, because in their day-to-day, they hear a lot of no's.
Oh man, there are so many ways. Your doctor may be very cautious and say no driving. Your doctors or your caregivers may be worried about you potentially falling for financial scams. And so you're told, no, you can't manage your finances anymore. There can be concerns about just sort of forgetting that you've left the stove on and safety concerns there. And now all of a sudden, no, you can't use the stove, you have to use the microwave.
Dr. Danny says all those no's can make it feel like your world is shrinking. So this class counters that. But mainly, Danny says improv class is a chance for students to do the number one thing we can all do to help keep our brains healthy. And if you think he's going to say, bang out a bunch of crosswords, he's not.
I think that brain games, memory games, I think crossword puzzles, Sudoku, I think that these are all great things if you enjoy them. But if you were to ask me, what's the thing that's going to keep my brain in the top shape? It's being socially engaged. It's talking with other people. It's having conversations and being in the moment.
Let's just do a group thank you for everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Thank
you. Thanks, everybody.
Seth Thompson is one of the instructors at the class in Bellingham. He says teaching this improv class has been profound, especially when a student comes into class quiet or withdrawn, but soon opens up.
I was calling it magic at first, and I think that maybe that is the right word for it, because you're taking something that's just a pure artistic exploration and discovering that it has almost a medicinal quality to it. It's manna.
Manna, the bread that fell from heaven?
Something like that. Because you can tell that it fills people and it nourishes them in a way.
Seth says this technique is so purely interactive that it seems to wake something up inside of people with early-stage memory loss.
You can watch the light just kind of come back into somebody's eyes who maybe wasn't really present. And within an hour, they're contributing and they've got plenty to say.
Caregivers often participate in the classes, and Seth says they notice the change in their person too. In fact, this happens at almost every class, especially when it's someone's first time.
And you're like, wow, I think I'm seeing it, but then watching their care partner realize it as well. And then now I know it's real what I'm seeing because you can see the confirmation in their eyes. And it can be pretty emotionally overwhelming to where I walk out of here and get about 2 blocks away and I can feel my eyes welling up sometimes.
After class, student Ryan L. Backton de Gaulier often lingers and chats with folks. Ryan says it's meaningful to connect with people in a similar boat, the memory loss boat.
You're not alone. And memory loss is a very lonely experience.
Ryan says here, for 1 hour each month, she feels good and feels a sense of belonging. And she can let her creativity and her silliness rip. For Soundside, I'm Kyle Norris.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. This show is only possible because listeners support us. If you're able to give right now, please check out the show notes for a link to donate. And don't forget, you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org.